And what's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of the Live, Laugh, Left podcast. I am back with Garry and his upshot of his chin.
Yes, I am back. Hello, everyone.
We got a lot to go over this week. Both the Stanley Cup Finals and the NBA Finals are set. We'll go over how that all came to be. Both Garry and I did some sports trips, mini sports trips, I should say, over the last week that we will go over. And we got some other fun stuff to go over. So let's jump right into it. First thing I got is trivia. We again chose not to do trivia last week in light of the Kyle Busch situation. So we're gonna do it this week. Garry, are you ready?
I am for sure ready.
All right. Who won Australia Sportswomen of the Year in 2022? Or 2012. Sorry, 2012.
So, is it a sport that I would know?
It's not a specific sport. It's just Sportswoman of the
Okay.
Year.
I don't know. To be honest, I really don't know. The only Australian or New Zealandish person I know is Shane Van Gisbergen, and he's not a female. So
What?
But yeah, I do not know.
You're not going to believe this answer. And thank you, Jeffy, for the fun trivia suggestion. The winner of Australian Sportswomen of the Year in 2012 was a horse.
Huh?
So this was a really funny story. So, the horse name was Black Caviar. It was voted as the Sportswoman of the Year. Oh, it's so funny. You can read more on that.
Do we know if it was a female?
I'm pretty sure they did an upskirt on the horse before doing the voting. If you guys want to read more on that story, it's a really, really fun read. An Olympic gold medalist was snubbed for it, so it's really, really funny. But you can go check that out if you'd like. So there's a few articles about it. Okay, with that out of the way, now we can get into the other things. Let's see. What do we want to start with today? I think we've got stuff in all 4 categories this week, or all 5 categories. Which is a rarity this time.
Honestly, I think we should start off with baseball, in my opinion. I know that's not in the order, but
well, there's a lot of baseball stuff to talk about. Garry, you did update lug nuts. We can't do baseball because you didn't update lug nuts.
I already know what happened with the lug nuts. I don't need to put anything in it if I know it.
Okay, anyway. Sure, I guess we can start off with baseball then. God, what a depressing topic. It's been miserable to be a Tigers fan lately. They went, I think, 5-26 or 5-25 in the month of May, which was horrid. They have, I think, the second worst or the worst record in the entire league now. It's bad. it's bad. The entire team is pretty much on IR. The guys who are not hurt are so bad. So Spencer Torkelson is becoming one of the worst players in the league. He's putting on playoff form way too early. Fuck ass guy. The pitching has been terrible. The bullpen has been terrible. It's not been good. Let's say that. They also made a trade. They traded Connor Siebel, the pitcher, to the Blue Jays. Traded him in exchange for Juanmi Vasquez. So that was a trade that was done back on the 27th of May. How have the game results been, though? Not good. They lost to the Angels 10-6. This was after being up 4-2. This was after being up. This was after being up 6-2. They gave up 7 runs in the 8th inning, and then they gave up another one in the 9th. They gave, including a grand slam. Literally a super deflating loss, and the offense sucked ass when they needed him the most. And Will Vest is an awful reliever. I think we have to come to that realization that Will Vest is not a good pitcher. He was the one that blew the save big time. They kept him in way too long. He didn't do anything to deserve to be in that long. It was bad. It was bad. Thankfully, they rebounded and beat the Angels in Game 2 of the series 4-0, which is an absolute shocker considering how many injuries they have, especially how bad their pitching's been. The pitch is shutout. And then you think, maybe, they can get the series win for the first time. I think that would have been their only series win of the month. Nope. The pitching sucked again, and they lost the Angels 7-1 to lose the series. They had 3 hits all day. One of them was a home run. One of them came in the first inning. They didn't get a hit from between the 2nd and 8th innings. Then they loaded the bases, and Riley Green proceeded to strike out. Also in this game, during that Angels series as well, Kenley Jansen got hurt, so we lose another closer. He got moved to the 15-day IL with a pelvic inflammation. Great. Just great. Then the Tigers hit the road to Chicago. They lost to the White Sox in Game 1 of the series, 4-3 in 10 innings. This was after being up 2-1 after being up 3-2 in the 9th, and then promptly blowing the lead again. Then they lost Game 2 of the series, 7-1. Wasn't even close. Then they blew another lead in Game 3 of the series, losing 2-1. So being swept by the fucking White Sox. But, folks, there is light, possible light, at the end of the tunnel. They are now in Tampa Bay. And last night, they scored more than 3 runs in a game. They had 5 home runs. 5 home runs. Dylan Dingler a 2-homer night. But the bullpen almost blew it
Plus
again.
a back-to-back-to-back home runs.
It was back-to-back-to-back. It was pretty sick to watch. They were up 10-5 and almost blew it again by Will Vest. Why is he still on the team? But they held on and beat the Rays 10-9. Finally. Now they are once again playing the Rays as we speak. They're currently up 5-0 in the bottom of the third, or top of the third. Let's go. The offense has finally
And
found life.
somebody got hit. Torque got hit. So
Pringleson finally got a fucking hit. Now here's Wenzel Perez. This is going to be a fucking strikeout. Anyway, so that's what the Tigers have been doing. I was possibly going to go to a game this Saturday against the Mariners. A, ticket prices were too expensive. B, I can't do that anymore. So I'm not doing that anymore. But I would like to point out the June 7th game, which is also against the Mariners. Scheduled starter, Justin Verlander. Finally.
you know who's starting right now in Toledo? Justin Verlander.
Making a rehab start. That's right, baby. After, he was on IR for over 2 months. So we're going to get a start, and then he's going to be out again for another 2 months, and then he's going to start one more game in August, and then we're going to shut him down for the year. And that's what we spent $13 million doing. Great. But hey, should be a good game. Anyway, that's it for the Tigers. We'll update the Tigers when we're done with the end of the episode, because it's a Jack Flaherty start. So if you think the Tigers are going to hold this 5-0 lead, you are wrong, because Jack Flaherty might be worse than Will Best. But anyway, Gary, take it away with the Lugnuts.
What a way to start Lugnuts after we come out in a swept by Lake County. At this point, it's last place versus above last place team. It was the Lugnuts versus last place Whitecaps. Let me tell you something. The Whitecaps are turning into the Detroit Tigers right now. Game 1, I have to say, was boring as shit. The reason why I say that, do you want to know what the final score was? 1-0.
1-0 in the
1-0.
1-0 in the minor leagues is crazy.
Here's the thing. You want to know what the one score was? 9th inning. Bottom of the 9th. Lugnuts score a run that should have never been scored. Because in my eyes, that man was out on the Lugnuts team. But the umpires said it was safe, so we'll take it.
We're not pulling strings
The
here,
pitcher, the pitcher for the Whitecaps was pissed. How pissed? Literally, I heard him say the F word, and then when he went down into the duckouts, I heard a big bang. Two things may have happened. A mitt got thrown, or a watering can got hit. Either way, that dude angry.
Hey, I'd be angry too, but you know what? Nuts win. Can't complain there. Now can I?
But then we got karma. Because the second game was exactly the same, except the final score was 2-1, and the Whitecaps won the same way as we did game 1.
Yeah, makeup call.
Short-lived. Game 3. We go into 12 innings. But guess what the final score was? 7-6. At least it wasn't 2-1.
Wait, you're talking about the Whitecap series last week, right? That didn't go to 12 innings.
Yes. One of them went to 12 innings. I worked it.
I worked 2 games during that series. I worked the Thursday, and then I worked the Sunday. Thursday.
I know one of them went to 12.
I think Thursday they won. I think you're talking about Game 4, because Game 3 was 6-1. The Lugnuts won.
Was it Game 4?
Game 4
probably was Game 4, to be honest with you.
It was either Game 4 was a Game 4. I think Game 4 the Whitecaps won in extras, and then the Lugnuts responded with a walk-off in Game 5. And then I think the Lugnuts won Game 6, like 10-1. Big win.
I think you're right. I think it is Game.
See, this is Gary. This is why you put the game results in the in the chat so you can keep track of what game is which.
Anyways, Lugnuts win game 3 either way. Then, like you said, there was a walk-off on May 30th. I was coming back from a place where we will talk about later. I was just coming back from there, and I turned it on Bally Sports Live. 1 run scores, and then Dylan Feen comes up, hits a 2-run blast to right, and scores the home run 2-run bomb to win the game. Now, what do we need to do on a kid's day? We need to win, because if we win, we beat the Whitecaps series. We beat the Whitecaps in the series. And you want to know what the Lugnuts decided to do? They said, nah, we ain't going to get these close games anymore. We're just going to destroy you, as they win 10-1.
It was a good day. It was a good day to be a nut.
We are on a 2-game win streak. And right now, it's the bottom of the second, and they are in Great Lakes right now. The score is still 0-0. And technically, I am in Midland right now. I could have technically went to the game. I'm not going to, because why go to a game and when I could just watch it on the TV? Because for some reason, the Looms have it on TV. Their own channel. Here.
I don't see
why.
Well, you could go to the game and then you could log your event on sportslogbook.com. # not sponsored. Also, the Loon Stadium is pretty nice. So.
It is pretty nice, and I've also seen it multiple times. I don't need to go see it again. But that's it on Lansing. I guess we got a couple players called up to Midland, Texas. So who knows? I mean,
is that really where the next step up?
Some people from Stockton.
Is that really where the next step up in the
literally they go
A's...
from?
So it goes Lansing
they
to
go
Texas?
From Stockton, California. They go from Stockton, California. I think it's California. It's either California or Florida, one of those two. Then they go all the way to Lansing, Michigan. Then they go to Midland, Texas. Then they go to Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's
Las Vegas. Yeah,
Las Vegas, and then it's
right?
Las Vegas again. Really?
Yeah, and then it's Ace. So that's not very confusing at all.
That's the sign of a very dysfunctional pipeline, and it's the reason why the A's suck. Be honest with you.
Actually, technically, no, because they're 1 game behind in their division.
Yeah, it's only June.
True. Anyways, but yeah, that's about it for the Lansing Lugnuts. Now, MSU baseball. There's really nothing on MSU baseball anymore, so that's it for MSU baseball. They're not in the tournament. We don't really need to talk about it anymore. So, next on is the Growlers. Boy, oh boy, the Growlers. First, when we get to the certain one, I'll let Tyler talk about it because Tyler went to a Growlers game. Well,
I did on the road.
But we will talk about it when I get to that. So, and he could talk more about it. But first, on May 26th, it is the I-131 series game 2. Growlers lose to the Pit Spitters 7-5. Oh well, we'll get him soon. Um, and then, um, yeah, the Growlers face the Chinooks, Lakeshore, 9-8 in 11 innings. If I was to tell you how worried I was in this game, I it's like the Kalamazoo Wings game. That's the only thing I can come up with every single time. That's how worried I was. But the Growlers beat the Chinooks 9-8 in 11 innings, and the Growlers start 2-1. Cool. Perfect. Growlers then sweep the Chinooks, but this time they beat them 8-3. Didn't even have to watch that game. I didn't even watch any of that game, and they won 8-3. I mean, I'll take it. So then comes the battle of the I-94 Rivalry Cup. 2 games in Kalamazoo, 1 game in Battle Creek. The Growlers win game 1 of the 2 games, 3-2 against the Battle Jacks. Or how I say, the Battle Sacks, because they suck. And also other things, but I can't say on YouTube. Anyways, Growlers then lose game 2, 6-2 against the Battle Jacks. So now Kalamazoo is what? 5-2, I think. I'm not too sure. And then comes Tyler. Would you like to talk about this game? Because you went to this game, actually.
I did. We were gonna go to one of the games the day before in Kalamazoo, but we decided to do something else that I will talk about later. But we went to this game. I don't know what I was really expecting. The game, we went to see the Battle Jack Stadium. So I did record a review of it. It's on the backlog. I actually have a good sized backlog again, like it's about a week and a half deep, which this stadium review is on the back end of. So it's going to be a hot minute before you see it on the main channel, but I'll summarize it here. One, that's operations were terrible. There was a line backed up around the stadium to get in for ticket scanning because there was only one guy scanning tickets. And the guy, bless his heart, tried his best, but he did not know how to work digital tickets at all. He was trying to scan digital tickets with like an iPhone 2, and that just wasn't working. So that wasn't fun. I would feel sympathy for the team for not being able to find employees, but I've seen job postings from the Battle Jacks, and all of their positions are unpaid. So I don't really have any sympathy. If you don't feel like paying your workers, why do you expect people to work for you? Okay. And then the concession lines were even worse. I think Likunmiffery, who were with me, were in line for 30 minutes, trying to get a hot dog and a water and a couple other drinks. There was a sign advertising Dippin' Dots. They had no Dippin' Dots. And it's not a very highly detailed stadium, but for what it is, it's pretty nice. You can definitely tell that the stadium is old. You can definitely, it's like the bars, the bars with the big tarp seating over the top. I mean, that's very reminiscent of like Tiger Stadium and Fenway Park and all that sort of stuff. Those old stadiums, right? The bathroom situation was very wild. It's basically a big block room, and there's urinals lining all of the walls, and then in the middle is are the sinks, and the sinks reminded me of the zoo, because zoos have this set up too in their bathrooms, where it's like a circle with a bunch of faucets coming out of it, and the soap didn't work, so that was great. Great job for hygiene there. The fucking soap doesn't even work. The seats were fine. The only other major complaint that I have is that the speakers were way too loud. They also have a million speakers all along the grandstands, and they were way too loud. So we ended up not sitting in the actual seats very much. We did also because there's so many poles that a lot of the field can be obstructed, so you really can't see anything. You can't even really get a foul ball. Any foul balls that go over the net are just going to go over the metal roof and are going to go out into the parking lot. So you really can't do anything there. But what I will say was there was some nice premium seating options for what it was. You get some areas up near the front with some good views. There's a thing in the outfield called the Bud Light Doghouse. That was pretty cool. We didn't go in there, but it looked pretty nice from the outside. And there were some nice standing areas too on the first and third base sides, where you can sit by the bullpens for each team, and it's a good place for children to get autographs. The players were really nice. Both teams were really nice about giving out autographs. The one side on the third base line has the team store. We went in there. Actually, a pretty decent selection of stuff at a team store for a Northwoods League team. So that was pretty cool. There's also a little bar back there, and then the other side had a food truck with some of the most amazing chicken that I've ever eaten in my life. It was really good stuff, and some good fries too. But yeah, I mean, it was an alright stadium. Would I go back? No, I wouldn't. Like, it's in the middle of a youth baseball complex, so I thought I was back playing youth t-ball in like first grade, pulling up to the place. But also it's just like, I'll be honest, I don't give a fuck about either of these teams. I've seen it. I said I could say I'd be there. That's about all I need. So, I have a more in-depth review on coming up on the channel again, like a week or so. But that's really just my thoughts. And then the game. Oh my God, we have to talk about the game. This was one of the worst baseball games I have ever seen in my life. Holy shit. I get it. The Northwoods League is a summer league for college kids, right? So it's not going to be the most high quality level of baseball that you will ever see in your life, right? I get that. But holy crap, was it terrible. There was one point in the game where it was 3-0 Kalamazoo before Kalamazoo had even gotten a hit. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? I mean, there were so many walks and there were so many throwing errors. It was just insane. Every time that somebody tried to steal second, the catchers would greatly hesitate to throw the ball. And I saw many successful attempts to steal third base. I saw an attempt to steal home plate, and it worked because these guys, just the throwing errors were so terrible. I'm like, you guys definitely do practice this in college and also during the season, right? You have to, and they don't, and it's so weird. It was just so bad. I mean, again, it was 3-0 before there was even a hit. Every inning took forever. I mean, that was a long-ass game of baseball. It started at 7. We left in the end of the 8th inning, and it was... Yeah, I mean, it was 10 o'clock by the time we got out of there. And I was just like, what the fuck, man? And this is with the pitch clock, too. They have a pitch clock in the Northwoods League. But it didn't fucking matter because they're walking every other batter. But I mean, it was fine. Like I said, I mean, it was a fairly cheap outing, and if you're in the Battle Creek area with your family, it makes sense to go to a game. It's not it's a fun time for what it is. But again, would I go back? No. Kalamazoo won in a blowout, 9-3. Wasn't even close. Again, Battle Creek didn't even get a hit until the 4th inning. Then they get the base. They had the bases loaded, still no hits, and then they get a fucking strikeout. Didn't even try. It ended up being a 9-3, which again, it's a fine score, I guess. Just the score doesn't do justice for how bad the game was. I'll be honest with you, but again, I said I did it. Maybe so apparently there's 4 Northwoods League teams in Michigan. There's Battle Creek, there's Kalamazoo, there's Traverse City, and then there's one in Royal Oak.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
That's
there
crazy.
is the Royal Oak Leprechauns, I think that's what they're called. I'll have to double check on that, but yes, there is a team in Royal Oak, Michigan. Us Kalamazoo, me as a Kalamazoo fan, don't really care about Royal Oak because they never compete with us. But yeah,
I am hoping to see Traverse City over the 4th of July, Traverse City Stadium. I will probably eventually see Kalamazoo if Ann and Myth keep living down there, and I just go down and visit them. I just happen to go. Like I won't go down there just to see that stadium, but I'll see it eventually, probably if they keep living down there. And then I don't know when the fuck I'll see Royal Oak. I don't know if I'll ever see that one. I didn't even know that existed until this past weekend. So, there's that. But anyways, had a fun time. So.
On with more, then they go on to face Richmond the next day. Richmond is the new team in the Northwoods League. They are called the Flying Mummies. Why would you name your name that? I don't know. But that's their problem, not mine. Anyways, for the first time, Growlers, Mummies face off against each other, and the Growlers win 9-3. Then, after that, the Growlers will face them again. And well, this game was just embarrassing for the Flying Mummies. There was walks all the way around. So basically like the Lugnuts game against West Michigan. There was walks all the way around, and players would have to walk in runs, or there would be wild pitches that would score in a run. And the Growlers decided to destroy the Flying Mummies for a second time, 16-4. Right now, currently Kalamazoo is facing Wisconsin. I don't know the score yet because I am currently also watching the Lugnuts and the Tigers. I can't watch 3 things at once, pal. But after all that, the Kalamazoo Growlers in the standings. Let me get her up here. The Northwoods League standings goes like this. If it pops up, I should really have this up. All right, there we go. Scores and standings. This is how the ladies goes. It goes Growlers are 7-2. Then the Royal Oak Leprechauns in second, 5-3. Battle Creek in third, 5-4. Then Richmond in fourth, 4-4. Rockford Rivets is the next one down. And then also tied with Rockford is Traverse City. Not expecting that. Then the Kenosha Kingfish are last in the Great Lakes East. And that's about it for that. Let me just say, Growlers facing Wisconsin. Wisconsin is 1-5 this year. Let me look at the scoreboard here. Right now, currently in the top of the 4th, Wisconsin is beating Kalamazoo 4-1. Not my cup of tea. But, oh well. Is there any other new teams that I have to look at? Here's one. there's another new team, but they're on the other side of the division. They're called the Minnesota Mud Puppies.
Puppies.
Yeah. But with that, other MLB stuff for you?
Oh yeah, I wanted to highlight that we had a no hitter recently. The Astros combined for a no hitter. 3 pitchers combined for the first no hitter of the season and first since 2024. I didn't even realize we didn't have any no hitters in 2025. They did it against the Rangers, so that was back on May 25th. So I thought that was a pretty cool thing to show off there. The only other baseball thing I thought we would just give an update to the College World Series, even though MSU is not in it. We did NCAA tournament updates for basketball and hockey and everything like that. I thought we would do the same thing for baseball. Currently, they have moved on to the super regionals. The regionals are done. That was a double elimination bracket. Now they're down to the super regionals. So the teams remaining in the LA division, Cal Poly they beat St. Mary's, UCLA, and Virginia Tech. So pretty impressive there. And then the Morgantown region, West Virginia advanced, beating out Binghamton, Wake Forest, and Kentucky. The Hattiesburg regional, Little Rock advanced, taking out Southern Mississippi, Virginia, and Jacksonville State. In the Gainesville region, Troy advanced, beating Miami, Florida, and Ryder. In the Chapel Hill region, North Carolina advanced, beating VCU, East Carolina, and Tennessee. In the College Station regional, USC made it out, beating Lamar, Texas A&M, and Texas State. In the Lincoln regional, Ole Miss advanced, beating South Dakota State, Nebraska, and Arizona State. In the Auburn regional, Auburn made it out, beating North NC State, Milwaukee, and UCF. The Atlanta region, Oklahoma advanced, beating Georgia Tech, UIC, and the Citadel. In the Lawrence regional, Kansas advanced, beating out Missouri State, Arkansas, and Northeastern. In the Tallahassee region, St. John's advanced, beating Coastal Carolina, Florida State, and Northern Illinois. That's what they get for leaving the MAC, you fuckers. In the Tuscaloosa region, Alabama made it out, beating Alabama State, Oklahoma State, and USC Upstate. The Austin region, Texas advanced, beating Holy Cross, Tarleton State, and UCSB. Man, what a fucking cakewalk of a regional that was for them. The Eugene region, Oregon advanced, beating Yale, Washington State, and Oregon State. Starksville region, Mississippi State advanced, beating Lipscomb, Cincinnati, and Louisiana. And finally, in the Athens region, Georgia advanced, beating LIU, Liberty, and Boston College. So we are down to 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. We're down to 16 teams left. The Super Regionals are a best of 3. None of them have started, but it's going to be West Virginia versus Cal Poly, Troy versus Little Rock, UNC versus USC, Auburn versus Ole Miss, Kansas versus Oklahoma, Alabama versus St. John's, Texas versus Oregon, and Georgia versus Mississippi State. Common denominator there, lots of SEC schools. But again, that's best of 3. We'll highlight that as the finish of that gets closer next week. So I thought we would just give that a little update. But that's it for baseball, unless you had anything else to mention, Gary.
Nope, nothing else.
Alrighty. That was a long one, but we'll move on. We'll end off with our other long one. So we'll do some quickies. Now, a couple football things to bring up. First off, MSU football got a new transfer commit. 3-star safety Braden Thomas flipped his commitment from Iowa State to Michigan State. Not the strongest commit in the world, but hey, we need defense, and pretty good that we were able to flip a commitment instead of somebody flipping a commitment on us. So that's a sign of some good culture change there. And then I have a few NFL related topics. First off, Josh Jacobs got arrested. The Packers running back got arrested for beating his girlfriend.
That's not funny.
No, but what is funny is
Josh Jacob getting arrested is funny. Not.
No, none of that situation is necessarily funny, but it's funny because it's the Packers, and fuck the Packers. Also, Gary's resolution is
yes, that's
like
what I meant.
10 HP, so that's also funny.
Wait, well, huh?
Your resolution's like 10 HP. Whatever. It's good enough. And then there were a couple big trades that I wanted to talk about as well. First, A.J. Brown got traded to the Patriots in exchange for a 2028 first-round pick and a 2027 fifth-round pick. To be honest, that's a pretty low price to pay for A.J. Brown. At least you would think. But A.J. Brown wasn't that good last year, so maybe that's why the Patriots got him at such a low trade value. I don't know. The bigger of the two trades, though, was Myles Garrett getting traded to the Rams. This was in exchange for Jared Verse, another stud defensive guy. Not nearly as good as Myles Garrett, but you know what? Still a big piece. They also got a 2027 first-round pick, plus some other picks that were TBD. Let's see if they got finalized. Shit. So the full haul was Jared Verse 2027 first round pick, 2028 second round pick, and a 2029 third round pick. Pretty big stuff there. Myles Garrett, probably the best defensive player in the league right now. Oh shit. Oh. The fuck was that?
Hello, I'm back.
Gary's back.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Hello?
Hello? You gonna turn on your camera?
Yeah, I'm just figuring out my password real quick. Continue.
Yeah, anyways, Myles Garrett is by far the biggest stud in the NFL when it comes to defense. So the Rams are far and away the favorites to win the Super Bowl this year. That really shouldn't be that much of a surprise, but it is interesting. Very interesting. So that's all I had for football stuff, Gary. I don't know if you had anything.
Not in the top of my head, no.
All right.
We can continue on to the next one.
We'll move on to basketball. Some sad news coming out of basketball. Tom Izzo's mother passed away at the age of 100. Yeah, a long life, a very long life, a very fruitful life. She saw a lot of great stuff with her son and everything like that. So she did an honorable
She could
job.
dunk on people's. She could dunk on Tom Izzo's one of Tom Izzo's players. That's for sure.
Damn right. Rip Dorothy Izzo. Great, great mother. The only other thing is obviously the NBA playoffs going on. For the conference finals, the Knicks swept the Cavs. It wasn't even close. Game one, the Cavs had a chance to maybe steal game one, and that was about all they could show as far as life. They collapsed to lose game one in overtime. The other three games weren't even close. The Cavs looked completely dead. All the more reason why the Pistons should have been there instead. But of course, they can't fucking win a home game 7 again. Or, they can't keep a 9-point lead in game 5 at home. But, won't fucking talk about that. So the Knicks make the finals for the first time since 1999. And tickets to game 3 of the finals are going for over $1 million. So who's paying that? Spike Lee, the guy who gets comp tickets to every Knicks game so that the Knicks look good.
No, Stephen A. Smith.
Stephen A. Smith will get a fucking media pass and just get to be there.
And also because he's a Knicks fan.
I mean, that's a given.
But mostly what you said.
I mean, that's a given. Of course he's a fucking Knicks fan.
I'm not.
In the Western Conference Finals, everybody thought that was going to be the series of the century, and really, honestly, it was. Went to 7 games, tons of back and forth finishes. The Spurs hit some incredible shots. The Thunder thought they had them on the ropes, up 3-2. But then the Spurs respond by winning the last 2 games of the series. Goes to 7 games. Spurs win 4 games to 3. Pretty much embarrassing the Thunder on their home court in Game 7. And I honestly think that was the series that everybody was expecting it to be. Very much back and forth series. No team really held a home court advantage for the entire series. And it was really, 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 really well fought. So I think it was everything that we deserved it to be. So now we get to the finals. The finals is Spurs versus Knicks. Game 1 is tonight in San Antonio at the time of this going up. To be honest, I think the Spurs were going to sweep them. The Knicks might take 1 game. This is going to go to either 4 or 5 games in my opinion. The Knicks have no answer inside for Wemby, and I just don't think the shooting is going to be consistent enough for them to be able to keep up with the Spurs. So that's pretty much my thoughts on that. So I don't know if you've got anything else, Gary.
Go Spurs, go. That's it. Go Spurs, go.
Okay. And then the NHL playoffs, the Stanley Cup Finals are set there as well. Let's see here. Conference Finals results from that. The Golden Vegas swept the Colorado 4-0, and then after taking Game 1 on the road, Montreal pretty much just laid dead for the rest of the series as Carolina went on to win the series 4-1 to reach their first Stanley Cup Finals since I believe 2002. So it's been a while for the Hurricanes. And you know who the Hurricanes lost to in that 2002 series? The Red Wings.
sadly, that ain't gonna happen again. So
Yeah, Montreal pretty much just laid down and died, and so did the Avalanche. So what a great series that ended up being. Um, so now it's Avalanche versus Golden Knights for the Stanley Cup. Really, I should be rooting for Carolina, but I'm not because I don't think I don't really like Carolina that much. I think their fan base sucks. I think they should just move to Charlotte anyways. They don't, but that's my thought. But at the same time, I can't really root for Vegas. So what am I going to do? I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to root for a nuke to hit the stadium. Just like I am for the NBA Finals. Because I don't want either of those fuck-ass teams to win either. So.
But wait, if a nuke hits one of the NBA Finals and it's in New York, we would get hit.
What?
We would get hit because the nuke would, of course, expand, and then we would get some of the cause from it.
No, we wouldn't.
If it's a big nuke.
Well, thankfully, I'm not rooting for a big nuke. That's all I had for hockey, Garrett. It looks like you had a couple of things here that you wanted to go over.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, I do. Let's start off with one sad moment. Let me just say, this guy, the Red Wings hated him with a burning passion. Clyde Lemieux, 4-time Stanley Cup champion, died at the age of 60 years old. Let me tell you guys, people say that that's young, and it is. It's very young still. I mean, 70 is a little bit older, but 60 is young. He's not even in his 65. He wasn't even 65, so. But you know what? He will always be known as the guy that Detroit despised. Colorado Avalanche, he will be missed. It's one of the greats. And the other thing, I've actually got 2 ECHL newses. We'll do this one for the first one. The new team from Augusta, Georgia, has got a name. They are known as the Augusta Lynx, with a Y.
That's how links are spelled? That's how links is spelled? Question mark?
No, sometimes it's spelled Linx.
You mean Links? Like a link, like a hyperlink?
No. I don't know what you mean. That's not what I mean. Anyways, we have that, and also the Kelly Cup playoff is official. It is going to be it is going to be the Fort Wayne Comets taking on the Florida Everblades. Let me tell you what, I knew this was happening. But if Fort Wayne wins, technically the Central wins, so we'll take it as a Kalamazoo Wings fan. So I'm going to go and root for the Fort Wayne Comets to win. Do I think it's going to happen? Fuck, no. No. So.
Who knows?
You're right.
Okay, well that's it for hockey. Now we just gotta move down to the others category. Before we get into racing stuff, because we have a good amount of racing stuff to go over this week. Not just NASCAR, racing stuff in general. I wanted to comment on the MSU president, Gavin Guskowitz, leaving MSU to take a job at Clemson. This is not necessarily sports related, but I thought it was worth mentioning because it's a pretty fucked up situation. We just had raised his salary to $2 million, doubling his salary, and then he fucks off, takes a $800K a year pay cut to go to Clemson. And there's only one group of people that should be to blame for this, and that's the Board of Trustees. Fuck the Board of Trustees, fuck their egos, fuck their paychecks, fuck everything that they ever want. Alright, Boards of Trustees should not exist. They do nothing good. Okay? That's my thought. Just wanted to mention that. And then everything sports related, outside of the fact that apparently in the contract for J-Bat, the president would have been allowed to take J-Bat with him if he left. Doesn't seem like it's going to happen, but something I also wanted to mention. Anyway, let's move on. Before we get to NASCAR stuff, let's touch on some racing experiences. So, the other thing that I did while I was down in the southwest part of Michigan this past weekend was I went to see Kalamazoo Speedway, which Ann talked about in a previous episode a couple of weeks ago. But I thought I'd mention it here. I decided to go. We were going to do Growler's game, but we decided to do this instead. And I had a really fun time. The racing facility, as Ann said, is very nice. Very nice facility. Very, very, very large for what it is. There's a lot of seating. They have suites, obviously, that we saw. Just a lot of areas to move around. A lot of concession options. The track is very, very high banked. It's more like a circle than an actual like oval racing surface. So there's that. We sat in turn 1 where we actually got a really good view of the pit area. There's 2 pit areas of the track. There's one inside the track and there's one outside the track, and we got to see both of them from where we were sitting, which was cool. Not really much else I'm gonna say here. Again, I did do a full review of the track that'll come out a little bit after the Battle Creek Battle Jacks stadium review. You can go check that out. My only other real complaint is that I thought they made the field sizes too small, specifically with the front wheel drive cars. They had 33 front wheel drive cars enter the race, and I was really hoping that they'd put all 33 out there at once to race, because I think with the high banks of the racetrack, that would have been really awesome. And they split it up into 3 different features, which really sucked, because the races were honestly pretty boring for those. The modifieds were fun, though. At least there were some good crashes there. So it was cool. And there was a controversial finish with the guy who spun out the leader to win the race and a photo finish, but they discredited the win. And then like an hour later, they announced that he had actually been awarded the win, which I thought was funny. So, I like that part. But anyways, Kalamazoo Speedway was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So, much good choice. So, that was that. Gary, I think you went somewhere as well. So let's hear your thoughts on that.
I went to Owasso Speedway again. This is the first time in 2 years. Now, they updated the racetrack. What I mean by update is in the backstretch, that's where you sit. Okay? Not at the old front stretch. So, we sat in the back, all the way at the top. Before we even got in, though, there were stanchions to get in that we had to go all the way around. We came in like early, so we were one of the first ones in. Anyways, I know why that is. The day we're recording this is a Tuesday. Tomorrow, Wednesday, Ryan Newman, his daughter Brooklyn Newman, and Christopher Bell will be racing at Owasso Speedway. That's why.
Oh, damn.
That's
pretty cool.
And then, not even a week later, Keelan and Kevin Harvick will be there.
Damn.
Let me just say, that place is going somewhere. And when I mean going somewhere, who knows? The NASCAR Whelen Modified Series might go there. Just saying.
Hey, that'd be awesome.
Other than that, I mean, it was cool. I liked it. Nothing else. It was just the same. Just different places to sit. Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, let's get into some NASCAR.
Okay, so NASCAR was well, actually, before we get to Nashville, we should cover some things that still came out of Charlotte. So there were some penalties from Charlotte. The one of the obvious ones. There were 2 crew members from the 78 Cup team, Catherine Lake's team, suspended after she lost the wheel at Charlotte. Should have known that was coming. And then Ross Chastain, the 9 team in the Xfinity Series, was fined $5,000, and a crew member was suspended for one race for non-secured luck nuts after their win at Charlotte. Now, that did not affect the win, but they did get that penalty. So there's that. And then also, speaking of suspensions, a 2311 employee has been indefinitely suspended from NASCAR after she assaulted a man on a golf cart at Charlotte. What she was doing, I don't know. I don't know what provoked it. But that's pretty fucked up. Pretty fucked up indeed. Safe to say she's probably not coming back to NASCAR. Well, maybe Rick Ware Racing. Who knows? Anything else that I have to mention? Well, Ryan Preece's team had appealed a penalty from Texas a few weeks ago. That got upheld, so the penalty is fully enforced. And then I guess the only other I have a couple other things. I'll get to those after we talk about the weekend's action at Nashville. So more rain was in the area for Nashville. Fucking awesome, of course. That delayed the truck race until really late at night. The race didn't end up getting over until a little after 1 a.m., which is crazy for a truck race. So nobody was there. But that was some good racing action all throughout. Pretty good finish, I would say, to that race. Lane Riggs would put on a pretty dominant performance, though, and win the race. Did have to go to the back due to a pit problem, but would rally all the way back to the front. Xfinity race was pretty good as well. There were, except that there were no cautions for incident all night. The only 2 cautions of the race were for stage cautions. Now, granted, there was one on-track incident that probably would have gotten a caution otherwise, and that was for Cletus McFarland driving the 33 car in the Xfinity Series this weekend. He spun out in turn 3 right at the end of the second stage. So if there wasn't a stage caution or stage break, stages weren't a thing, there would have been at least one caution. But alas, didn't happen. Justin Allgaier put on a strong performance to pick up his 3rd win on the season. Then the Cup race, which I got to watch pretty much all of because, again, it got rain delayed. Got rain delayed an hour and a half. This race was pretty good. A lot of crashes, so the race went 4 fucking hours because there was a lot of cautions. But that was fine, I guess. Whatever. Denny Hamlin pulled one of the stupidest moves I've seen anybody pull in a race ever. He jumped the start, but not only did he jump the start, he jumped it by a mile. It wasn't even close. Wasn't even close. Denny Hamlin, the pole sitter, also my fantasy pick for the week, immediately had to go down pit road and serve a penalty. Great. The racing was pretty good after that, though. Lots of Toyota dominance for the 2nd week in a row. So much so that they ended up finishing 1, 2, 3. Joe Gibbs' cars at least did. Another strong oval run, too, for Shane Van Gisbergen. He was running in the top 10 consistently all night long, which was really cool to see. Corey Heim had a good race going as well. He was leading some laps, got some stage points until inevitably he did crash, which was unfortunate. Brake rotors were a big problem all night as well. Many drivers crashed out due to that, including AJ Allmendinger, who ended up winning a stage, but then crashed out. Ross Chastain also crashed. A couple other guys suffered a similar fate. Bubba Wallace and Alex Bowman both had another disappointing day due to both of them crashing. At the end of the day, Denny Hamlin would somehow rally from the back to the front and would, thanks to a late caution from another brake rotor failure, this time from Chris Buescher, he would rally and score the win, his 2nd, I believe, of the season, and pick me up a fantasy win, baby. 3rd one of the year. And I think we're 2 for 2 from Hamlin this year. Which is great. So, it was a good win. Denny Hamlin's perception in NASCAR is taking a pretty positive turn, as given the fact that there were a lot of cheers for him after his Nashville win, not a lot of boos. So, pretty cool to see him pull off that win. And thank God he pulled off the win, too, after jumping the fucking start. But whatever. Ooh, shit. I forgot who we picked in poker chips.
One of them was Joey Logano.
Oh, I think. Yeah, I think I had
Josh Berry.
Josh Berry, and you had Joey Logano. So you won because Joey Logano. I think Josh Berry crashed, and Joey Logano finished 14th. And Josh Berry crashed out, finished 31st. So, yep. For the first time this season, folks, Garry has won a poker chip race.
Yes. Sadly, I don't have my poker chips with me, or else I would do. But where are they going this week?
They're coming home, baby. They're coming home this weekend to Michigan. I will not be there.
Neither will I.
Garry will not be there either, apparently. We are not going to Michigan this year because we are going to Talladega in October. So I will not be going to the MIS race. I'll be probably doing a movie marathon with Jeffy instead. And of course I'm going to Pocono the week after. So already going to 2 races this year. Didn't really want to go to Michigan because of that. I did apply to work at the race. Thought, why the fuck not? Ended up not getting any work down there. So, you know what? That's fine. Whatever. But I think that's going to be a good race. Michigan has been putting on some good product with the next gen car, and I don't see that being a problem, or that being any different this year. Now, we do have to take a look at the weather. Because it's Michigan, you know the weather's going to be a problem. Let's take a look. Oh boy, look at this. 50% chance of rain on Friday for the ARCA race. 80% chance of rain on Saturday for the O'Reilly race. And 50% chance of rain on Sunday for the Cup race. Wouldn't you look at that? More rain, more rain. But you know when it's not going to rain? Monday, because every Michigan race has to be on a Monday. Fun times. Not an extremely strong chance, so probably we'll be fine, but who knows. And then the only other pieces of NASCAR news I really had, Beard Motorsports will be back attempting Pocono with Casey Mears, which is cool. I'll get to see Casey Mears race again at Pocono, so that should be fun. And then Corey Heim is going full time in 2027 with 2311 Racing, I believe. I believe it's with 2311 Racing. Let me. Yeah, it's. Yeah. Yeah, 2311. So that should be good. Good for him. I think he deserves it. But otherwise, that's all I had. Gary, I don't know if you had anything else.
Nope, that should be it.
Cool. So that should be fun. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Live, Laugh, Left podcast. Before we sign off for the night, just want to give an update on the Tigers game. The score is now 7-0 Tigers, and we are now middle of the 6th inning. They had the bases loaded and got 2 sacrifice flies out of it.
And now that you say that, I will give an update on the Lugnuts too. The Lugnuts are currently down to Great Lakes in the bottom of the 6th, 4-0. And then the Kalamazoo Growlers is currently the Kalamazoo Growlers are in the bottom of the 5th, down 6-1 against the Wisconsin Rapids Rafters. I almost said Rafters. So
cool.
Sounds like fun.
We'll give the final score updates on those games next week, of course, along with all the other fun baseball action that we will have. And NASCAR stuff. We'll recap Michigan. We'll update the NBA and NHL playoffs as they start their championship series and all other fun stuff that should come up during that time. But anyways, guys, it's going to do it for this episode of Live, Laugh, Laugh. Stay tuned for the much more amazing content from both me and Gary. And until next time, see you guys later. Goodbye.